Appreciate y'all being here. Exciting week. Anytime you're playing in a conference championship week, big deal. You know, there's 9 FBS conference championship games. We're one of 18 teams getting to play. So it's a special opportunity. Been a good week of work so far. Today's really a Wednesday in our world. And playing Friday night. Looking forward to it, going on the road. Hostile environment, really quality football team in Army. Good opponent, man. They're really well coached, tough, physical, play the game the right way, present a lot of challenges in all 3 phases. But our guys have their work out for them to be prepared the right way mentally and physically. And great opportunity to go on the road and play a conference championship game. So with that, we'll open it up.
Seems like they're similar, just 2 triple option teams, but really having those types of nuances and just playing Navy, less than a few weeks ago. How do you kind of differentiate between what Army brings to the table in this matchup?
Yeah, there's some schematic differences and there's some personnel differences. Navy probably plays the game in more buckets, like they do some options, some wing tees, some vertical pass, some spread elements. Army last year was a little different than they are this year. They're kind of back to the way they were in 22 more. We've coached, our staff that came with me has coached against them last year, so we've seen them. The quarterback is a really physical runner. They're a move the pile team. A 3-yard gain becomes a 7-yard gain real fast against them. He's a bruiser. I mean, he's a physical, tough, looks like a linebacker type guy, but throws it good too. Last week he was very effective throwing the football against UTSA. But there's some schematic differences. I mean, there's some things that are nuanced, that are unique to them, that are not like Navy. There's some overriding principles that are the same. I mean, there's some 3-back option things that present where it's dive, quarterback, pitch at times, but there's also some things that are very unique to them and how they play the game.
And with the last game being on Thursday, having a little bit more time to kind of perhaps mentally deal with the loss of last week, do you feel like having that extra time allowed guys to kind of sit with what happened against Memphis and then really start fresh this week?
Yeah, we could have played Friday. I'd have been fine with that. I think when you lose a game, you'd like to go back and play as fast as you can, kind of. But we have a bad taste in your mouth after a loss, particularly the one we didn't play our best, You're not going to win them all, we're going to try, but when you don't play your best, that's probably as bothersome as the loss. And so, but the guys were off on Friday. Coaches worked, and then Saturday they came in and did a little bit of work around the building and a quick walkthrough, nothing crazy. And then Sunday we got into the normal flow of getting ready for a game. But maybe schematically it helps the coaches get maybe their bearings with what we're trying to do. Doesn't matter what the coaches know. Like I say it all the time, like it's not what we do, it's what they do. Like we have to have them ready to play the right way. But our guys will be ready.
Army scored an opening drive touchdown on 9 of their 11 games. How important is it to not let them get off to a fast start?
Yeah, I think the hardest thing, it's a challenge to simulate and practice with your look team. You can get in the formation and run the play, but it's the speed at which they operate, the timing, the rhythm of what they do presents challenges. In 22, we played them at Troy. They went 75 yards, drove down to our goal line. They didn't get points out, but they went the whole way. You look at their first drives of every game, people struggle. And so starting fast is a big deal in a game like this. It helps to maybe get them out of rhythm or make them not possess the ball. They're very good at time of possession, just like we have been for the most part this year, but they're very efficient in their first drives all year.
You mentioned the quarterback. I believe he's second in the country in touchdowns behind Genty at Boise State. What allows him to maybe have so much success and to be so physical at the quarterback position?
Well, he's a big, strong dude. I saw him at Media Day. We played against him last year. I saw him at Media Day, and I'm like, dadgummit, this dude doesn't look like a quarterback. Like, he's yoked, man. Looks like Taysom Hill or something. He's a big, strong guy. I think he's a smart guy. I think he's really tough. I think he knows how to operate in their system. They play with an edge, and they're going to carry the ball a lot when you're their quarterback, and he throws it enough, too, to get some pass game touchdowns. I mean, he's a really good football player. Like, he's the kind of guy you like having on your team because I think he makes everybody around him better. He's a confident dude that just plays the game the right way.
You mentioned the team and the coaching staff, obviously, after last game. How focused do you feel like your group is for this game, and how excited are you, obviously, to make this history?
Yeah, I mean, if we're not, we got a chance playing conference championship. If we're not focused, then shame on us. You know what I mean? Like, they bring, I was kidding around with the team earlier. I said, they're naming all conference today or whatever. And I'm like, I'll be honest with you, I don't remember from a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago who made what all-conference team. I do remember which teams won championships. Like the championship teams I've been a part of, man, I remember that forever. Like I'll be, 75 years old and laying around and unable to function, and I'll remember the championship teams I was a part of. Like that's different. It means something. It's different. And so if we're not focused and excited about that opportunity, man, we got a problem. You need a heart transplant if we ain't ready for that.
I know you're there to win a game, but there's maybe appreciation of the history of the game. I mean, when you talk to your team about playing at West Point, the history of that program.
Yeah, we have a lot of respect for all the academies. People of service we hold in high regard. Coach Witt, our strength coach, he coached at Army. He's a Green Beret in the military, in the Army, so he has history there. Colin Kenyon, our assistant strength coach, coached there as well. We've got some crossover, if you will. Coach Gasparotto, our defense coordinator, was the co-DC there in 2020. So there's a lot of guys familiar with the place, and we played there last year, and really, man, it oozes history, tradition. You feel it. You feel like you're on hallowed grounds a little bit. It's kind of a cool place. But yeah, we tell our guys, hey, man, what an awesome opportunity to go play at such a special venue against a historical program in a great setting, and we make sure they understand the educational component that comes with it. But at the end of the day, go play the game. It's what happens between the white lines.
Right. And I know you get maybe annoyed at questions like this about distractions, but your name's on the list of a lot of head coaching openings. Do you worry about your players seeing it? Do you have to address it? And is it flattering to you?
I'm not flattered by any of it. I don't get flattered very easily. People speculate, whatever they want to speculate. I'm very focused right here. When your team is good, as a coach, everybody thinks you should be the next best thing. And when your team sucks, they try to fire you. So you're going to deal with distraction one way or the other. I'd much rather deal with the distraction of us being a really good team and people putting my name out for something, but it ain't about me. This program's not about me. None of that stuff's really relevant to me. I'm I'm so locked in on this game.
No problem. How much does it help having Greg Gasparotto on staff? Obviously, he's a really good coach, but he coached, like you mentioned, he coached at Army. You guys have seemed to have a pretty good bead on option teams the last 2 years when you've played him, just in terms of the preparation. Yeah,
Gas, so their defense coordinator is Nate Woody. He was a DC at Wofford when Gas played at Wofford. That's a SoCon team, a lot of triple option in that league. He's got a really good background of defending, and you can defend it well and still kick your butt. Like it's a pain, but Greg's very knowledgeable. Rob Green, who's on our staff too, another Wofford guy. Both those guys, a conventional week, I probably go in there and foul with them a lot. I give them too many ideas about how we can attack a protection on third down, or maybe take a receiver off the board, maybe against the pro style offense. The option weeks, I go in there and I become a sponge listening to them because they're like gurus, man. Like they're really good at what they do in that regard, and I try not to screw them up too much. But Greg's really good at what he does, and he's got a good plan every week. I'm very comfortable and confident when we play different offenses, and everybody has different strengths, and that's an area where those two guys in particular, I think, have a real good grasp. But you could have a good plan. It's still hard to execute against these guys. It's a challenge.
I know you're not too concerned about all conference teams, but I think you have 18 guys on the team, 4 on the first team.
Yeah.
What does that say?
Happy for those guys. Happy for their recognition. Some guys that weren't recognized that maybe, in my opinion, could be or should be, whatever you wanted to say. I shared a story about a guy that I played with in college, Dwayne Robertson, I don't think he ever made all SEC. He was the 4th pick in the NFL draft. Like, these all conference teams, when they get voted on, people usually look at, like, okay, who had the higher stats? They don't always think about who's the best player. You know what I mean? Like, who's the best. So, happy the guys that made it. I will spend very little time, similar to like Jeff's question. I don't think about any of that really very often. I'm like, I hear it announced, and I'm like, all right, who cares? Let's go play a game. Like, I told our guys, going back, when I'm 70 years old, I will not remember any of them that made an all-conference team. I'll remember this team if we win a championship. That's what you remember. The team stuff's what you remember.
On that front, what would it mean to you? You have a chance to win 3 conference championships in your 3 years as a head coach.
That's special, man. They're all special. You can't take them for granted. Like, I think you have to fight the complacency piece daily. And, man, I think you have to take it all in and have such a great appreciation for – there's some good teams in our league not playing in this game, right? And so for us to be in this game with this opportunity and a championship to play for is very special. And I don't really connect the dots to 2 years ago to last year to this year. I just kind of worry about where we are, and I'm excited about having the opportunity to go play for one. You know, they're special.
You mentioned time of possession earlier. This is an Army team that leads the nation in time of possession. You're in the top 5. It would seem this game would play out to where there'd be very few opportunities to possess the football. How important is it to value those, and much like they play keep away, is that something from an offensive perspective that you look to do, is just try to keep the ball out of their hands?
Yeah, it's about being efficient with your possessions. It's not gonna be a 16 possession game. You know, we all know that going in. You know, their North Texas game, it felt like there were 6 possessions. I mean, you've got to be ready to maximize every opportunity you get offensively. Defensively, if we play good, it gives our offense more opportunities. Both teams, you know, we're different than them maybe schematically, but we are a run-first team in some regards with taking some shots off the play-action game. And, you know, each one of them is very valued. The fewer you get, the more valuable they are. And so we have to make sure we're efficient. We got to score points. We have opportunity to score points. Can't get in the red zone and kick field goals. We got to go score touchdowns.
You were talking about the run game there, obviously coming off a performance that isn't really, you know, what y'all are used to achieving on the year in the ground game, and now going up against an Army team that's the #1 run defense in the AAC. What kind of adjustments have you made about the ground game following the Memphis game, and what does Army's run defense do that's so special?
Well, they create numbers at times. They're unique. They play different fronts. They get different coverage structures too to fit guys in. Sometimes they'll cloud a corner. They do a lot of different things. They're really good up front. Their linebackers are quality players. Man, I like their linebackers the way they play. And on us last week, you know, we played a good opponent. We didn't play our best. It's unfortunate. Can't do anything about it now. We have a real challenge with what we're playing against defensively with what they do. And in order for us to have success, you know, we talk all the time about our keys to victory. Two of the 3 are always run the football, stop the run, and the other one's turnovers. Those are usually pretty good indicators for your opportunity to have success in a game. And so we need to run the football better. We got to stop the run better too.
When you watch the film from last week, especially those like first 2 turnovers, is there something that you tell Keith and Mario to do different? Because just from watching it, it looked like Zero just made a really good play. So how do you coach that?
Yeah, a lot of times fumbles happen when you get hit from an angle where you're not expecting, which is kind of what both those were to some degree. Like Keith in particular probably didn't feel or recognize the contact was about to happen. And so it's about, you know, ball can't be flat, nose has to be up, has to be tucked, has to you know, have pressure around in all points, and then you have to always be ready to brace for contact. You can't just think, oh, I'm good and I'm not getting contact because I'm close to the goal line. I think you see a lot of them happen near the goal line, you know, a lot of times. And so things you train, things you work on, things we talk about. It's been a pretty good year for the most part with us protecting the football until that game, and obviously it was costly. Those guys were hurt over it. They were frustrated. They were disappointed. They know it wasn't what we need to do to win, and so we address it and move on. But yeah, I think sometimes you see the hits on a ball carrier that they don't see coming cause a fumble a lot of times.
The night before the Navy game, I was talking to Dagan Bruno, John Curtis quarterback, did the triple option at John Curtis, mentioned to him about playing scout against Navy, and he mentioned that he was a scout quarterback. You actually took the red jersey off him. He said he had bumps and bruises all over his body. He was taking a lot of hits. Are y'all using him again this week because they kind of run a similar offense to Navy? Yeah,
Dagan's running our look team. Him and Kellen Tasby both are, but Dagan's got a real good feel for the operation, timing of those ball handling type things. He's awesome. He's a great teammate, works his tail off, and a really good picture for what we could see just in regards to running it. He's a different body type. That dude we're playing against Friday night, like I said, he's swole, but Dagan does a good job of operating. Thank y'all. Appreciate you.
All right.